Bro, imagine spending 15 years building the most expensive brand in hip-hop history. Every bar, every video, every Instagram post screaming that you are the biggest boss, that private jets are just how you move, that commercial flights are for people who haven't made it yet. Now imagine a video leaks of you boarding a Frontier Airlines plane and the entire internet loses its mind overnight. That is exactly what happened to Rick Ross. And what he did next, the way he responded, is either the most confident thing you have ever seen or the most desperate. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to have a very clear opinion on which one it is. Alright, real quick, here's what you need to know. Rick Ross has built his entire identity around one idea: I have more than you. Full stop. The private jet is not just a travel preference for this man, it is a cornerstone of the brand. He has referenced private aviation in his music more times than most rappers reference their own name. Flying commercial in the Rick Ross universe is not supposed to exist. It is genuinely incompatible with everything the biggest boss mythology stands for. So when a clip started circulating of Ross walking through an airport and boarding a Frontier Airlines flight, and not in first class either, the internet did not treat it as a normal travel moment. It treated it as evidence. Screenshots spread instantly, commentary flooded every platform, and 50 Cent, who has been waiting for exactly this kind of moment since 2009, was already loading up his Instagram with the precision of a man who prepared for this specific day.
Come on, bro, you can see this. You don't need me to say this, you know this. Yeah. Look at it. What kind of rich nigga cut his own grass? Why you out there cutting your own grass? You trying to save money, nigga? You don't want to pay for the lawn to get cut, huh?
Let me ask you this.
The AC broken in the motherfucker.
Let me ask you this.
No cap, the timing could not have been worse for Ross, because this did not happen in a vacuum. This happened in the middle of ongoing questions about the Georgia tax execution, the album sales numbers, the Millennium Tour special guest slot. The economy flight did not start the narrative. It just handed everyone the perfect image to attach it to. Here's where it gets crazy. Ross did not go quiet. He jumped straight on Instagram stories and went off. And bro, the explanation he gave is either genius or the funniest thing you will hear all week, depending on how you look at it. Ross looked dead into the camera and said, "For the ones who want to know where my jet at, obviously didn't get the memo, it's being updated with Starlink." He then described the upgrade as $500,000 Wi-Fi, $500,000 in Wi-Fi for a plane.
For the ones who want to know where my jet at, I obviously didn't get the memo. It's being updated with Starlink. You know what Starlink is? Yeah, that's the $500,000 Wi-Fi. Yeah, that's where my jet at. And I chose to fly commercial to Colombia to go party with Trick Daddy and Ball Greasy at the Escape the States vibe. And that was a hell of a vibe. I had an amazing time. When I was leaving, that hoodie was low. Rose did it big. The boat. And coming from a boss, I gotta let you know how this go. When Ricky Rose take flights, it's 6 digits. I'm going to get some Mounion, the Mounion. But don't y'all ever look down on no young hustlers who, if they walking, if they riding a bicycle, if they riding on the train, don't you ever look down on no young hustlers going to get some money. Don't you ever talk about these young entrepreneurs if they was flying first class, coach, economy, or private. I flew that shit for 20 years before I went and spent a 40 ball. And when I say that, I mean 40 million on a plane. But don't y'all ever talk down on no young hustlers that's going to get it. I don't care if you young hustlers driving Uber, Rose gonna salute you like a heavyweight.
Now pause. Just take that in for a second. The explanation for flying Frontier Airlines is that the private jet is currently receiving a $500,000 satellite internet upgrade. That is the most Rick Ross response to anything that has ever existed. He also added that flying commercial was just a practical move this time around because he was heading to Colombia to celebrate with Trick Daddy and Ball Greasy, and the jet happened to be out of rotation. He even threw in that if his jet was needed to pick up his mother, he would happily take a commercial seat himself so she could travel comfortably, which is actually a sweet detail. But bro, nobody was asking about your mom. They were asking about Frontier Airlines. 50 Cent clocked it immediately and did exactly what you knew he was going to do. The response was instant and surgical. Because here's the thing about 50 in these situations. He does not just make a joke. He connects every new moment to the 15-year case he has been building. The economy flight, the tax lien, the album sales, the Millennium Tour. Each one becomes another data point in the same argument, and the $500,000 Wi-Fi line gave him more material than he could have scripted himself. When your defense for flying budget airlines is that your jet is getting a $500,000 internet upgrade, you have handed your opponent the punchline and the setup at the same time. The comment sections across every platform were ruthless. People were not buying the Starlink explanation. The consensus was simple. If you can afford $500,000 in Wi-Fi upgrades, you can rent a charter for one trip to Colombia. Wait for it, because Ross actually buried the most revealing detail in his own response. His jet already made headlines in 2024 after a crash landing in Dallas, which he joked was Drake's fault. So the full timeline is crash landing, repairs, a $500,000 Starlink upgrade, and somehow a Frontier Airlines flight to Colombia in the middle of all that. Bro, that is not a flex, that is a saga. And here is what nobody is saying. This is the same man spending $5 million on Italian porcelain flooring and $20 million renovating his Star Island property, while a $29,000 Georgia tax bill sat unpaid for 3 years. The expanding never stops. The expenses never stop. That is the whole problem in one sentence. Maybe the Starlink story is true. Maybe the Frontier flight was just a logistical call. But here is the truth. No cap. It does not matter. What matters is that Rick Ross, the man whose brand is built on never explaining anything to anyone, went on Instagram stories and explained a Frontier Airlines ticket to the internet.
I find it so funny how I'm the only person who can see through this stuff, you know. For me, this is so clearly and obviously marketing. I've got an entrepreneurship brain and I see media differently, but I always notice now, before an artist is about to drop a new album, they all do something so weird or crazy a month before. Like, I think a female artist is something similar, it might be Mulatto or somebody else, but this is so obviously marketing. Like, do you honestly think that Rick Ross, if he didn't want anybody to know, that he caught a commercial flight, he couldn't make it be known, he couldn't get security guards, like, bro, there's only been one image of him on a commercial plane. And there's clearly an image that he and his team took and leaked to the media, bro. It's so obvious, bro. If he didn't want to get caught, take a commercial flight, he could have gone during a less busy time, he could have surrounded himself with security. He's purposely chosen to get caught, take a commercial flight to promote the album. And something like Clutch here, which is something I respect a lot, about artists, especially the big ones. The biggest artists in the game now, Clutch here, they're always willing to do the creative stuff to get them to get their name out there. That they're willing to tarnish their brand a little bit to get views for their upcoming albums. I've noticed it time and time again, bro. Like, these artists, especially ones at the top, bro, they will happily take a mad L if it means they can push their album. And he's got an album up next month. Like, look at the coincidence. You honestly think, all these years, he never got caught. Now, all of a sudden, his album's dropping next month now, Now you see him catch a commercial flight. Because if he was doing it, bro, he would have been caught time ago. Like, do you think it's the first time he's ever done it? And if it is, he's done it for marketing, bro. Like, it's so obviously marketing. And these rappers, they're so smart with how they always come up with something so crazy before they drop an album. And everyone just falls for it every single time.
The biggest boss does not do that. 50 Cent is not laughing at the flight. He is laughing because the flight made Ross talk. And when you have spent 15 years projecting untouchable wealth, the moment you start explaining yourself to comment sections is the moment the armor cracks. The jet is getting Starlink apparently. The brand though, bro, that is going to need a much bigger upgrade than Wi-Fi.